for whatever reasons, not
Can come up. I set you aside instead of putting you on the top. I apologize.
I'm just a citizen and a parent, so I'm actually one of the few people here who's not here as part of my paying job. So I appreciate you allowing me to get up here because I'm missing class right now. My name is Kristina Frey. I'm the president of the Washington Township Parent Council. I'm the mother of a second grader. I volunteer as a CASA, or child advocate. I have an MBA, previously worked in healthcare marketing. I'm now a full-time law student, so I can have a second career improving the lives of children. I'm tired. I'm not tired, though, because of all those things. Those are the things I love. I'm tired from constantly defending my daughter's wonderful school and school district. The perpetuation of the myth of failing public schools, combined with the always expanding availability of charter schools and vouchers, has caused my own neighbors to hesitate to send their children to our absolutely amazing and high-quality neighborhood school. I know that schools are stronger when they're supported by their communities, and I know that communities are stronger when they support their schools. And that's the kind of community I want to live in. I also know that one of the very best ways to improve test scores is to have socioeconomic diversity in our schools. And because of that, it absolutely rips me apart when I see my middle-class neighbors opting out of our neighborhood school. In my role with Washington Township Parent Council, and as a Washington Township booster in general, I talk about our schools. I am constantly preaching the gospel of Washington Township. And I really believe that parents talking to other parents is the best way to get the good word out about our schools. But I can't talk to everyone. The big money spent on advertising by private schools can talk to a lot more people than I can. And I heard an allegation that that's not true. Anytime, just about any time I open any sort of local publication around here, or even when I turn on the radio, I hear those advertisements. So there's clearly some money being spent. All you have to do is open any local publication and see the advertisements all the time. So I can't compete with that. So I try to talk more and more to more people, and I'm tired. But despite being tired, I took on a new project for our parent council this year to try to spread that word from parents farther. We conceived, wrote, and produced a parent-to-parent promotional video. We did it entirely with volunteers and with no public funding. It took a tremendous amount of time and effort, and we shouldn't have to do that. If this bill expands the voucher program again, it'll put Washington Township at an even further disadvantage. I'm already exhausted from trying to spread the word about our schools. How can I expand those efforts even more if there's yet another application period? The last thing I want to see my district have to spend money on is advertising. I want that money to pay teachers, to reduce class sizes, to bring innovative programs to the classroom, which we are doing in Washington Township. In addition to my concerns about the pressure this bill puts on public schools to market themselves, I'm also really concerned with educational stability. This is a really important point that I don't think anyone else has spoken to, although I see some members of the committee still would prefer to not pay attention to what I'm saying.
I'm paying attention.
I see that, Mr. Lucas, thank you. I'm really concerned about educational stability. Expanding the voucher period will further drive this sort of endless school shopping that seemed to take hold in our community, and we keep hearing about that here today. But I know so many stories of parents who've pulled their children out of their school to send them to a voucher school, sure that that private school is going to be better. In some cases, they end up sorely disappointed, which leads them to what? Pull their child out again. Start over yet again. What's that doing to our children? When I'm not happy with something at my daughter's school, I get involved. I talk to the teachers and administrators, and I work through it. I don't run away. We already have a problem with encouraging this runaway attitude that we keep hearing. That's certainly not what I want my daughter learning. This bill would make it that much worse by encouraging parents to even interrupt their child's schooling in the middle of the school year. We need to be encouraging stability if we want students to succeed, not to undermine it. Now, I do understand the good intent of this bill. The Crossing is doing good work, and I do believe that they are a good partner to public schools. I do think it's great that that is a place that here in Washington Township we potentially have to send a child who is just not going to be able to continue in our schools. But that intent, as you've heard, can stay intact simply by adding this limiting language that folks have talked about. Whether you make it specific to the Crossing or specific to, a dropout or expulsion situation, we can do that. I do want to bring up one last point. Really, I wasn't planning to bring this up, but earlier testimony brought it to my mind, and this is not just about this bill, but about vouchers in general, and the fact that we're talking about public dollars going to private schools that have no public accountability, that have no public school board, elected school board. So I'm going to read you a quote. This is from a federal court decision, and you'll understand the significance after I'm done. He led police on a high-speed chase north on 65 after a report of him waving a gun at other motorists. Semi-trucks blocked the northbound lanes of 65 for the police, and in response, he drove across the median and then proceeded southbound. After blowing a tire, he crashed his company car into a truck. Police pulled him from the burning wreckage and arrested him. By the way, this individual, the reason this is in federal court documents is because he then turned around and sued his employer for discrimination when they fired him for doing this in the company car. The person that this is referring to stood in front of you today as an administrator at the crossing. Now again, I'm not disputing that the crossing does good work, but that is just one example. This administrator has been passed through multiple schools. This administrator was a Mind Trust Innovation Fellow, only then was let go from Phelan Academy 3 weeks before school started. Okay, I have a real big concern when we are dealing with private schools with no public accountability. Who are they hiring? What's their vetting process? Who's their HR department? I don't know. I know that about my Washington Township schools. I can call those people and talk to them. The things they do at school board meetings are public record involving HR and other items. It really, I had not known where that individual had ended up. And so when the crossing walked in today, I found that out. And I just think that's a really important point. It's not just specific to this bill, not just specific to the crossing, but it's really specific to what can happen when we give public dollars to private schools. I would not trust that man with my children, and I don't think any of us should. I ask you to please oppose Bill 334 as an expansion of vouchers. I would be happy to entertain questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none. I'm sorry, Representative Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Frey, you seem pretty intense on this.
Me?
Well, I'm a polished stone this morning there, Terry. No, this whole voucher thing, why are you against parents having a choice in their child's education?
I would love to tell you. That's a long answer.
And again, going back to the voucher dollars going to religious schools, again, I'll state this 1,000 more times if I have to. That's already been decided
I know.
unanimously by the Indiana State Supreme Court. So please, if you want to keep bringing it up, I'll keep addressing it. I'll keep pointing out the fact that that's water under the bridge. But-
Nothing's ever water under the bridge.
That's
So
been, okay,
it's-
but for this moment in
I've
time,
read
it
that
has been
Supreme Court
decided.
opinion.
Please let me finish my comment. I just want to understand why you are so against tax-paying parents having a choice in their taxpayer-funded education.
I would love to explain that. I am a tax-paying parent sending my daughter to public school. And I will explain to you something that's going on at my daughter's public school as an explanation, okay? My daughter's public school is in Washington Township. The attendance boundaries of her school are pretty evenly split in terms of diversity. If anything, they're majority white and majority middle class or upper middle class. My daughter's school is about 75% free lunch. We are about 13% Caucasian, I believe. And here's where I'm getting with this. I have neighbors. I have people who've stopped me in the grocery store to talk to me, who say, yes, I visited school. I really wanted to give public schools a chance, but my daughter would have been only the fourth white child in the class. And I say, yeah? And she said, that's how my daughter's class is. And she says, are you okay with that? The reality of the situation is that the type of parents, the middle-class parents, the upper-middle-class parents, the type of parents who have the ability, who have the privilege because of their life situation to really be involved in their children's education, we still have a long way to go with some of the subconscious biases there. And there are a lot of people who walk into my daughter's school and they say, it's a black school. I'm not sending my kid to a black school. And I see the look, but I'm sorry, this is the reality, and people have said this to my face. That conversation in the grocery store was real. So those people now, okay, well, maybe couldn't afford private school before, but now I can take the voucher to get my kid in a white school. And I know this sounds ostentatious, I know this sounds extreme, but I'm telling you, even Washington Township, which isn't exactly a conservative bastion, okay, these are the conversations I'm having at Kroger on 86th Street. Vouchers lead to segregation. Vouchers lead to those students who I mentioned, the data's out there, socioeconomic diversity improves test scores. It does not hurt the upper middle class kids, and it improves scores for the kids in poverty. Okay? The type of parents who are able to, let's say, provide transportation to their children for a private school. There's no bus. What if I'm somebody without a driver's license or a suspended driver's license, or I can't afford a car? I may want to be involved in my child's education, but how am I supposed to drive them to private school? So again, the people who are going to take these vouchers, and we see it in the data from the DOE, more and more as the restrictions have been lifted, the people who are taking their vouchers are the white people, are the upper middle class people. They're using the vouchers to pull out of the public schools because, frankly, they are dealing under some very, I find, objectionable stereotypes about what a largely black or brown school is.
Vouchers are income-based,
They keep increasing the income level, though.
giving parents choice.
Yes.
Okay, and again, with all due respect, I find it offensive that we keep being accused of not supporting public education, which I vehemently disagree. I fully support public education. We have excellent, very dedicated men and women teaching in our public schools, and I commend them for that. By offering people a choice that they feel fits their child better, other than a public education, should not be construed as an assault on public education. That does not mean that we don't support public education. So I would like that to be on the record.
I understand that, and I did hear you earlier refer to the fact that you support public education. And with all due respect, in the very next sentence, you referred to students and parents being able to get out of the bureaucracy and the shackles of public schools.
Due to the bureaucracy. Because public education simply cannot be as flexible as what individual teachers taking it upon themselves. We had 2007 Indiana Teacher of the Year in the public school system was just in here last week testifying how she's starting her own charter school.
Anna?
Yes, Anna Schultz, which is awesome. That's what I would love to see us encourage, is individual teachers doing their thing, as opposed to committees of elected officials trying to dictate a one-size-fits-all for the state of Indiana.
I'd be happy to share examples of how teachers are doing their own thing in my daughter's school. That said, I don't doubt that you want to support public schools, that you do support public schools. As you said earlier, we're going to have to agree to disagree. I believe that vouchers do drain resources from public schools and do hurt public schools. I understand that you don't agree with that, and that is what it is.
Sorry. Sorry I didn't get you earlier. Seeing no further questions, we'll go back to Brian Smith then, and then next would be Ken Hall, please.